Hello, welcome back. Today we continue the story from the series Stranger Things. This retelling is made for English learners at level B1 to B1+. I speak clearly and calmly. The sentences are more detailed and more expressive. You can listen carefully and follow the story step by step. Now let us continue. The story continues in the small town of Hawkins. It is the day after Will Byers disappeared without any explanation. At first glance, the town still looks calm and ordinary. However, inside the houses and inside people's minds, fear is slowly growing. Parents watch their children more closely than before. They ask where they are going. They ask when they will come back. As a matter of fact, no one feels truly safe anymore. People talk about Will everywhere. They talk in shops, they talk on the street. They talk quietly, as if someone might hear them. Everyone has questions, but no one has answers. Early in the morning, Joyce wakes up in her house. She feels exhausted and emotionally drained. During the night, she could not sleep properly, even for a short time. Her thoughts returned again and again to the same painful idea. Will is still missing. Joyce sits on the edge of the bed and listens carefully. She hopes to hear footsteps in the hallway. She hopes to hear Will moving around the house. However, the house remains completely silent. Slowly, Joyce stands up and begins walking through the house. She calls Will's name, first softly and then louder. She stops after each call and waits. However, there is no answer. Joyce goes into the kitchen and looks around. She sees the table and the chairs. Usually Will sits there in the morning. Usually he eats breakfast or talks to his brother. Now the chair is empty and the silence feels heavy. Joyce walks to Will's bedroom and opens the door slowly. The bed is empty and untouched. His clothes are still in the same place. His personal things have not moved. Because of this, Joyce feels panic rising inside her. She knows her son very well. She knows that Will would never leave without saying anything. She knows that something terrible must have happened. In fact, she feels it in her whole body. Joyce believes that Will is still alive. She does not know how, but she is sure of it. She goes to the wall with the Christmas lights. She speaks slowly and clearly, as if Will can hear her. She asks Will to give her a sign. She asks him to answer in any way he can. Suddenly, the lights begin to flicker. Because of this, Joyce feels both hope and fear at the same time. Joyce decides to stay inside the house. She wants to be close to the place where she feels Will's presence. She listens to every sound. She watches the lights carefully. At the same time, Mike, Dustin, and Lucas meet again. They stand together, but the group feels incomplete without Will. The absence of their friend is clear and painful. The boys begin talking about Will. They remember the night he disappeared. They remember the dark forest and the empty road. They remember how afraid they felt. As a matter of fact, the boys also feel guilty. They wonder if they could have done something differently. They feel responsible for their friend. Because of this, they decide they must help find Will. The boys are also worried about Eleven. She is still hiding in Mike's basement. She is quiet and frightened. The outside world feels dangerous to her. Mike brings Eleven food and water. He speaks to her in a calm and friendly way. He wants her to feel safe. Eleven listens carefully, but does not trust easily. Dustin and Lucas watch Eleven closely. They ask her questions about where she came from. They ask her what happened to her. However, Eleven answers very little and prefers to stay quiet. The boys show Eleven a picture of Will. They ask if she knows him. Eleven looks at the picture for a long moment. Her expression changes. Eleven points at the picture with her finger. She makes a quiet sound. At that moment, the boys understand something important. Eleven knows Will. Because of this discovery, the boys feel a new sense of hope. They believe Eleven can help them find their friend. At the same time, they feel afraid of what this might mean. Back at the police station, Hopper continues working on the case. He thinks about Joyce and her fear. He thinks about the laboratory. In fact, he feels that the lab is connected to Will's disappearance. Hopper decides to investigate further. He goes to the laboratory and asks more questions. The building looks clean and organized. The people act polite and calm. However, Hopper does not trust them. The answers are too short and too careful. The faces look nervous. Because of this, Hopper becomes more suspicious. At school, the boys try to behave normally. They sit in class and look at the teacher. They hear the words but do not really listen. Their thoughts are far away. They think about Will. They think about 11. They think about the forest. They know they must act soon. The boys talk quietly and make a plan. They decide to search for Will themselves. They believe 11 can guide them. They prepare to go into the forest. Later that day, Joyce hears strange sounds inside her house. The lights begin to move quickly and without control. Joyce feels sudden fear. She stands up and follows the sounds. Joyce walks through the house with shaking hands. She looks at the walls and the ceiling. The air feels cold and heavy. She feels that something dangerous is close. Suddenly, the wall begins to move. It stretches outward as if something is pushing from the other side. A dark shape appears. Joyce is completely terrified. Joyce screams loudly and steps back. She believes that the monster has taken Will. She feels helpless and broken. Her fear becomes uncontrollable. Joyce runs outside the house and screams for help. Her neighbors hear her cries and come outside. They look confused and frightened. They try to calm her down. That night, the boys ride their bikes to the forest. They carry flashlights and try to stay brave. The forest is dark and silent. Every sound feels dangerous. The boys call Will's name again and again. They listen carefully after each call. However, there is no answer. Only silence surrounds them. 11 walks with the boys, although she looks weak. She stops suddenly and feels something strange. She points to a place in the forest. She knows something important is there. The boys trust 11 and feel hope again. They believe they are close to finding Will. They continue walking deeper into the forest. They refuse to give up. This was the end of episode 3 of season 1. The story is not over. Many secrets are still hidden. The danger is growing. In the next video, we will continue the story. Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode.